What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a very interesting video for you. Here we have two bikes. We have an E-Ride Pro SS and a Talaria Sting R.
And in this video, we're gonna be answering two major questions that we get asked all the time. Is it worth selling your Sting R at a loss to then upgrade to an E-Ride Pro SS? Or is it worth spending a little extra cash to upgrade the controller on this bike to make it comparable with this one?
So that is exactly what we did to our Talaria Sting R. We added a Torp TC 500 controller to it. You guys may have seen we had a video going over the install process and our initial review on this controller, but today we're gonna go in depth comparing the power that this controller adds to a stock E-Ride Pro and show you guys how that goes. One other thing we're gonna go over in this video is that we saw another YouTube video that was very misleading going over some part upgrades. So that video was by Amped Bikes. They compared a $10,000 upgraded Sur-Ron to a stock E-Ride Pro. And by the end of the video, they all agreed that they would rather have the stock E-Ride Pro and not a $10,000 Sur-Ron. Now, coming from somebody in the industry that compares these bikes, goes over part upgrades and knows pretty much everything there is to know, we saw a ton of misleading information in that video. And today we're gonna really kind of go over that you don't need to spend $5 to make one of these bikes comparable. If you actually did spend $5, the bike would be way better than a stock E-Ride Pro. So we spent $1,000 on a controller, and today we're gonna compare it to the Pro SS. All right, as we start this ride, let's introduce the two bikes. Here we have a totally stock E-Ride Pro SS 2.0 version, literally not a change on it. Here we have our Talaria Sting R. This has a few minor upgrades that are not gonna affect the performance we are testing today. They won't make a difference. So with that, we're just testing stock to stock plus a Torp TC 500 controller. Let's hit the road. All right, as we get this review started, let me tell you a little bit about this Torp TC 500 controller. We've had this on our Talaria Sting for a few months now. We've ridden it quite a bit. It's ended up being a really nice controller and one of our favorite picks for a stock Talaria because of how easy it is to install, the simplicity of the app. It just ends up being a really nice controller. Now, one thing I want to go over really quick is that there's a ton of misleading info online saying that this controller is able to pull more power from a Sting R battery than any other controller. That's just not true. The battery BMS is really the limiting factor of a whole setup. When you add an upgraded controller, all the ones we've tested have been able to pull the same amount of power, basically the limit of the battery. So whether you buy a Torp TC 500, an EBMX X9000, or say a Nuclear P24F, all controllers that we have and we've tested on this channel and that we ride all the time are all pull the same amount of power from this Sting R battery. That being said, we really like the Torp TC 500 for the stock Talaria Sting R battery and motor for the reasons I mentioned before: ease of install, simplicity of app. It just ends up working really nice. But if you have those other controllers, they will be just as powerful as this one is. Okay, back to this controller. It basically allows the bike to run 11 kilowatts instead of the stock 8. That puts it right in line with the E-Ride Pro SS. That bike is rated at 12 kilowatts peak, but really we don't ever feel like it actually pulls 12 kilowatts because this one pulls 11. Other bikes we have pull a constant, consistent 12 kilowatts, and they're significantly faster than that bike. So we feel like that bike is around 11 kilowatts, maybe 10 and a half. This is a peak 11 kilowatts, so again, very, very similar. This controller costs about $1,000 and has a lot more bonus features than just the added power. With this controller, you get a full app. I'll flash it up on screen here where you can change and customize all of your settings. You still have eco and sport mode, but you can customize them to exactly how you want them to feel. You can change how your throttle feels. You can do a lot of awesome stuff that basically adds a lot of value to the controller and to the bike for those that want to be able to customize it. If you are interested in purchasing this controller for your Talaria, we'll have a link in the video description on where to purchase that. It's a great upgrade for the bike. Just a controller in general does make a huge difference. All right, time for a quick drag race. We're gonna do two so we can swap riders since he's a little bit lighter. Alex is on the Pro SS to start. I'm on the Talaria with the Torp controller maxed out settings. You ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, he's catching me, passing me a little. Wow, that was really close. Really close, not bad. Okay, we're gonna switch riders and run it back. All right, drag race number 2. Alex is now on the Talaria on that side. I'm on the Pro SS. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, I think that lighter rider really makes a pretty big difference. Wow. All right. Okay, that was very interesting, you guys. That lighter rider made a bigger difference. So I actually think the Talaria is a slightly faster bike in the drag race because I'm a heavier rider and we were pretty much neck and neck with when he was on the Pro SS and I was on the Sting. But when he went on the Sting, he was quite a bit faster than I was. So there's Reed, we found Reed.
So after doing those drag races, it really puts into perspective how much weight plays a part in the performance of these bikes. Didn't matter which bike I was on, I won just because of the weight. I'm about 15 pounds lighter than Lance. There was a bigger gap between the E-Ride Pro SS when Lance was on it and me on this bike. So for that drag race, we're gonna give the point to the Sting R because of that bigger gap. Also, Reed's back in the video.
Back. My wrist is almost better. I can kind of ride now, so that's fun.
We're gonna go up on a trail later today and see how it goes.
Yep.
So back to our main question, should you sell your Talaria Sting R to upgrade to the E-Ride or should you get an upgraded controller? I think the drag race speaks for itself in the power numbers that this bike holds its own with that upgraded controller. So now that the power is very comparable, what about all the other parts?
Okay, so we've done another video where we really in-depthly compared this bike to this bike in a whole points and category system. At the end of the video, the E-Ride Pro SS won by only a couple points, and that's because we feel like a few of the components on the Talaria are slightly higher level than the E-Ride Pro, but the E-Ride Pro does have those big things going for it, such as more power, larger battery, and a lighter weight bike. But after you do that controller upgrade on the Talaria Sting R, the bikes are so comparable in performance, and it really just comes down to personal preference on different parts of the bike that you might like better. Like for instance, we think the brakes on the E-Ride Pro are better than on this bike, but we think that this frame is sturdier and beefier, which is going to be better for like a larger rider. We like that this bike is lighter weight, but again, that's only better for some riders. Some people like that this has a gearbox, some people like that this has a jack shaft and a belt. We like this suspension better. Like it just really just comes down to personal preference. Both bikes are amazing bikes, and at the end of the video, we're gonna each give our individual answers to, if we were buying a brand new bike right now, would we buy this or this with a controller? And if we already had this, would we sell it to buy this? So we're gonna answer that later in the video, but right now we're gonna go and do a top speed run with our GPS cycling computer to see which bike is faster. And then we're gonna talk about how this controller feels when you ride it and all that customization that you do get, because that is also an added bonus. If you spend $1,000 on this, you don't just get more power, you get a lot of nice features.
Okay, top speed run. I'm gonna do it on what I think will be the slower of the two, the Talaria Sting with the Torp controller. Okay, I'm completely full throttle. And there's that. Okay, the top speed we were able to achieve is 55.5 miles per hour. You can see it right there. And the E-Ride, in the past, we've been able to get that up to 59.6 miles per hour. So that one is gonna win. I'm not quite sure why this bike feels like it has to limit itself at that 55.5 miles per hour mark. It feels like it has something to do with the controller and something limiting it. So we're gonna look into that. But in the past, we've been able to get this motor to spin up to about 73 miles per hour with an upgraded controller and battery. That is very impressive for a stock motor. This comparison has been kind of hard for me because I absolutely love that bike, but this bike gives you so much adjustability with the upgraded controller that it's just been a hard decision for me. I don't know whether I'd pick that one just at how it sits or if this is worth it just because I can tune that throttle, I can tune that power. If I had a younger rider, a newbie to these bikes, I could just tune the power down and feel comfortable letting him ride this bike. Now we're gonna go up here, hit some dirt, see how this added power on this bike performs. We're gonna try this gnarly hill climb. I bet it doesn't look steep. We're gonna see if Reed can do it with his, but I'm just gonna test the added power that this controller gives to the bike. Okay, starting off. The Falcon is ripping up this. And the E-Ride's gonna take it up right behind us. This is steep stuff. I'm having a hard time keeping the front wheel down. And we are making it though. We got some battery rattle like normal. But the added juice that this controller gives is really good. There's Lance. He got stuck. What happened?
Traction issues.
Had some traction issues. Yep. There's the Falcon. Okay, I'm about to try this crazy steep hill that I was able to do on a fully modded Talaria XXX. Losing traction, dude. Dang, what a bad spot to stop. That's gnarly.
One last thing that really needs to be noted in the comparison of these two bikes. As you know, if you have an E-Moto, the harder you ride it, the more power you have, the faster your battery's gonna drain. So to touch on both of these batteries, 72 volt, 42 amp hour, 60 volt, 43.5 amp hour. To compare two batteries of different voltages, you times your voltage by your amp hours, and that gets your watt hours. Basically, these batteries are only about 15% different in their actual capacity. The E-Ride being larger, of course, so keep that in mind. The E-Ride still does have a larger battery. You're gonna get a little bit better range than this bike, but really it's gonna come down to how you ride it. Say if you were 20 pounds lighter and you're on the Talaria, you might end up with more battery than a heavier guy on the E-Ride. It really is a drastic difference. All right, time to answer the questions. Alex, if you were buying a brand new bike right now, which would you choose?
Guys, right out of the box, I would choose the E-Ride Pro SS.
Okay, now if you already had a Talaria Sting, would you sell it and buy an E-Ride, or would you spend some money and upgrade it?
That's where it kind of changes. I really think that if I owned a Talaria already, I would just spend $1,000 and get an upgraded controller. All right, Lance, what about you?
Okay, if I was buying a brand new bike today, I as well would pick the E-Ride Pro SS 2.0 version, of course. And if I already had a Talaria, I would also spend the money upgrading. I just don't think it's worth losing money selling it and then spending more money to upgrade. I think you can do tons of mods on your Talaria and it can be just as good as an E-Ride.
What are your thoughts, Reed?
My thoughts are, I've only ridden these bikes in this configuration a little bit, but I'm the same. I would choose the E-Ride out of the box over the other bike if I was buying a new one. But if I had a Talaria, I would just spend $1,000, upgrade the controller, and then keep upgrading from there. But you guys gotta stay tuned. We're putting a controller on the E-Ride in the next video. We'll see what happens then.
All right, guys, that's gonna wrap up today's video. We really appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed it, please hit that subscribe button. And if you need any E-Moto parts, check out our online store, link in the video description. There's a discount code there as well. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next video.
And get out and ride.